party is over, the infrastructure phase is done. Now show me the P&L, profit and loss. Welcome to a special deep dive on AI Unraveled. Today we are analyzing a massive structural shift in the market. You've seen the headlines. Peter Thiel sold his entire $100 million stake in Nvidia. SoftBank dumped nearly $6 billion. The smart money is exiting the infrastructure play. Why? Because we are moving from the era of vibe revenue, adoption driven by hype, novelty, and FOMO, to the era of proof of value. For the last 2 years, we've been obsessed with benchmarks. Is Gemini 3.0 smarter than GPT 5.1? But in this episode, we argue that those benchmarks are functionally irrelevant to your balance sheet. We are introducing a new framework for 2025, the Trinity of AI ROI. We're talking about cost per outcome, autonomous completion rate, and the existential risk of infinite loops, where your AI agent burns your budget faster than you can say stop. If you are a leader trying to justify your AI spend to a skeptical CFO, this is the briefing you need. Let's unravel the numbers.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. You've brought us a fascinating collection of sources today, and they all seem to be pointing to, well, one central idea. The AI ecosystem is done with its infancy. It's reached what our sources are calling a precarious inflection point.
That's the perfect way to frame it. It really is. We are absolutely moving past the era of pure hype, that sort of heady euphoria that defined the last 2 years. The mandate for 2025 is, well, just fundamentally different. The era of the infrastructure build-out, where companies threw huge amounts of money at compute and models based on pure FOMO.
Fear of missing out?
Fear of missing out, exactly, is officially over.
So we're moving from, technological enthusiasm to some real financial scrutiny. The core shift isn't about model selection anymore. It's not about just picking the shiniest new model. It's about proof of value. POV.
Exactly. And the huge disconnect we've seen, what some are calling the Great Chasm, is bridging that gap. The gap between a stellar technical benchmark in a lab and a profitable, stable enterprise deployment in the real world. So we're diving into the 3 mandatory financial and operational metrics that the C-suite is now demanding to bridge that chasm.
But first, I think we need to understand the structural realignment that's happening right now. And what's so fascinating is that the real signal, it didn't come from a white paper. It came from where the smart money is moving.
Precisely. We saw this huge pivot in late Q4 2025. That should be a wake-up call for really every organization building AI internally. Peter Thiel's fund divested its entire $100 million stake in Nvidia, and at the same time, SoftBank liquidated massive $5.8 billion in Nvidia shares. This isn't just routine trading.
That is a staggering amount of capital, and it's changing direction almost in unison. What does that signal to you?
It's a clear structural signal. Institutional investors are saying we are pivoting away from the sellers of shovels.
The GPU manufacturers.
Right, the Nvidias of the world. They're saying, and we are now only investing in the diggers of gold. They are demanding utility at the application layer that actually generates measurable, verifiable profit. The infrastructure play is over. The ROI play has begun.
And the financial fuel for the last couple of years was powered by something your sources have just brilliantly coined, vibe revenue. I love that term.
It just captures the danger perfectly. Vibe revenue is money driven purely by novelty, by curiosity, and that initial immediate wow factor. When a user interacts with a new AI tool, they convert instantly because it feels, well, magical.
So you get high initial conversion rates, impressive short-term growth metrics. But what's the danger for the enterprise when they build a product fueled by vibe?
The danger is the durability, or I should say the lack of it. There's no sticking power. Vibe revenue is characterized by poor retention, extremely limited expansion within an organization, and a really high sensitivity to alternatives.
Meaning users just churn.
They churn immediately. The moment a competitor releases a slightly smarter or even just a better marketed model, this novelty effect is fleeting.
And for the organizations that bought these tools, vibe revenue results in shelfware 2.0.
Right. And we all remember the original shelfware, those expensive software licenses that nobody ever actually installed. Shelfware 2.0 is, I think, way more dangerous because the sunk costs are higher and the technology is often much more brittle. It's that celebrated AI tool that was paid for and deployed, but 6 months later, it's being used by less than 10% of the workforce. Why? Because it never truly integrated into existing workflows or delivered any sustained value.
Okay, so if vibe revenue is the financial cause of the problem, what happens when the money runs out? When the CEO starts asking for actual results, that leads straight into this moment of reckoning, the momentum trap.
The momentum trap. It typically hits about 6 to 9 months post-deployment, right when that initial pay-bossy euphoria has totally evaporated. Stakeholders, especially the C-suite, they stop accepting the vibe and they start evaluating contract renewals and budget requests with, cold, hard metrics. If the unit economics haven't been established by then, the project just loses all momentum, stalls, and collapses.
And this is where the technical obsession of the last 2 years just smacks into the reality of the business world. This is the great chasm. We've fixated on technical achievements that are proving to be, well, utterly irrelevant to the CFO.
Exactly. The source material highlights the intense benchmark showdowns dominating the conversation. Gemini 3.0 Pro, GPT 5.1, Claude Sonnet 4.5. They are competing furiously on metrics like multimodal reasoning and agentic coding.
And we see these things like Gemini 3.0 Pro positioning itself as a thinking model, scoring that remarkable 37.5% on humanity's last exam. Then you have GPT 5.1 focusing on hyper-specific developer ergonomics with tools like Apply Patch for safe code edits. I mean, these are technical marvels, no doubt. But what's missing?
What's missing is relevance, enterprise relevance. These benchmarks become classic vanity metrics in that context. It's the kitchen sink fallacy. Enterprises are overfitting their deployment strategies to public benchmarks instead of focusing on the 3 to 5 core metrics that actually drive their specific business case.
So if your model scores, say, 99% on MMLU, but it can't adhere to your brand's specific compliance tone, or if it can't correctly query your legacy SQL databases that are just filled with dirty enterprise data, that high score means nothing.
Absolutely nothing. You end up with these models that are brilliant generalists, but perform incredibly brittly on the data that matters most to you, your company's own proprietary data. And the market is recognizing this disconnect. It's pivoting rapidly. We're moving from measuring sheer intelligence to measuring reliability.
And that reliability is being quantified now with innovations like Clean Lab's trustworthy language model, which adds a specific trust score to every single response.
That is the new benchmark that matters to a CIO. Think about it. For a company running automated customer service, a model that is 90% accurate but knows when it is wrong and flags it for a human, that is infinitely more valuable and less costly than one that's 95% accurate but hallucinates with total confidence. That forces human review on every single output because you just can't trust the answers. Reliability translates directly to cost savings.
So how do we operationalize this pivot? How do we get from hype to reliability? We need to consciously move away from the sort of fun blue sky exploration of the proof of concept, the POC, to the rigorous business validation of the proof of value, the POV.
This is the absolute crux of successful deployment. A POC just asks, can we build it? It's a technical feasibility study. POV asks, should we build it? Does it actually generate more money than it costs? And the sources indicate a shocking statistic. 95% of organizations reportedly get zero return on their AI investments. Why? Because they never successfully transition past the POC. They solve the technical problem, but they fail the commercial one.
And that failure is often rooted in letting projects stall out in what you call analysis paralysis. So to combat that, we need this incredibly disciplined framework, the strict 90-day value cycle designed specifically to avoid that momentum trap.
It's a time-boxed, fail-fast framework. It's built around 3 phases. Days 0 through 30 is all about proving the loop. You have to establish a single, verifiable unit of value. This could be one resolved support ticket, one generated code snippet, whatever. You bound the risk and prove the agent can do the task correctly at least once in a controlled environment.
And then you move into days 31 through 60, operational integration. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. This means deployment into the live real-world workflow, but, and this is critical with human-in-the-loop supervision, HITL. You are not automating yet. You are measuring. You're collecting data on the time delta. Does the AI actually save time, or is the human spending more time correcting the agent's errors? This is the phase where you calculate the task shift index, tracking if your employees are actually moving from repetitive work to higher value strategic work.
And the final 30 days, 61 to 90, that's the moment of truth, economic validation.
This is where you calculate the cost per outcome, or CPO. If those unit economics aren't positive by day 90, meaning the cost of the agent plus the human oversight exceeds the measurable value, the project has to be retired or completely refactored. It's a discipline that preserves capital and stops the spread of shelfware 2.0.
Okay, so now we get to the numbers that really matter. As AI matures, it's moving fast toward agentic AI systems that can autonomously plan and execute multi-step workflows. This makes traditional SaaS metrics like monthly active users totally obsolete. We need consumption-based, outcome-based metrics. This is the Trinity of ROI.
The C-suite needs these three mandatory metrics. It's how they prove they're being profitable, not just, experimenting.
And metric number one, cost per outcome, CPO. This is the core efficiency metric, and it's the number one margin driver for the enterprise.
Yeah, we have to abstract the cost away from just tokens and API calls. We have to tie the cost directly to the business result. This presents an immediate FinOps challenge, by the way. Finance teams need to get to granular allocation, tagging cloud spend to specific agent workflows, not just lumping it all under one big AI budget line.
And this focus on cost is critical because AI agent companies have a structural problem that traditional software doesn't. It's the CodeGS crisis.
Precisely. A traditional SaaS company often enjoys 60 to 80% margins. The marginal cost of serving one more user is near zero. But AI agent companies can face a cost of goods sold, a COGS, of around 40%. Inference compute is just inherently expensive and it's recurring. If your internal AI tool has that same high COGS structure, you have to optimize your CPO relentlessly.
And the formula for that drives the optimization. It's not just the inference cost. The CPO calculation has to include the total AI cost, plus human oversight cost, plus rework cost, all divided by your total successful outcomes.
The inclusion of human oversight and rework is so critical. It acknowledges system failure. If the agent fails, the cost isn't zero. The cost is actually higher because now you're paying a human to fix the agent's mistake. That failure cost has to be accurately allocated to prove you're actually profitable.
Metric number two. Autonomous completion rate, ACR. This is the reliability metric. It measures the system's true autonomy. Tasks completed without human intervention divided by the total tasks you initiated.
Right. Think about the operational drain. An agent that pauses for human help every 3 steps is a high-cost failure. It might technically complete the task, but the human intervention just destroys the CPO. It offers minimal ROI because you haven't actually removed the human from the loop at all.
And a low ACR often leads directly to that critical failure mode we talked about, the infinite loop.
That's the exact financial risk. The agent gets stuck trying to correct its own error, initiating these recursive API calls, generating infinite compute costs for zero outcome. It instantly destroys the CPO metric. You need high ACR to prove true cost savings. The gold standard we're seeing in the source material, like in some Salesforce implementations, is achieving a 90% ACR, and that translates directly to a massive 35 to 55% reduction in Tier 1 case volume.
Finally, metric number 3, net revenue lift, NRL. This is the ultimate growth metric. It signifies that transition from just saving money to actively making money.
It shifts the whole focus.
Yeah.
You start treating AI as a profit center, not just a cost center. NRL is calculated as revenue with AI minus revenue without AI minus the total cost of ownership. You're measuring the net positive impact on your top line.
And the data backing this up is compelling because the best AI often just improves the human experience. AI agents driving up customer satisfaction can lead to a 10-point NPS increase, which reliably correlates to a 3.2% rise in upsell sales.
Or look at acquisition. AI lead engagement can result in a 35% increase in new customer acquisition, leading to a 15% revenue lift overall. But, and this is the major caveat for NRL, you can't just guess this growth. It requires rigorous attribution. You have to use holdout groups, control groups where the AI is intentionally not active. It's the only way to scientifically prove that the AI agent was the direct causal factor for that revenue lift.
So if the new world is dominated by agentic AI, which can plan, execute code, maybe even modify databases autonomously, we're introducing entirely new risk vectors that have to be managed right now.
Absolutely. The risk is no longer just hallucination. The risk is agency. The primary operational threats are that infinite loop, leading to recursive compute waste and runaway costs, where a badly configured agent can just burn through thousands of dollars in API credits in minutes. This means you need a mandatory governance layer, the agentic workflow audit.
We need a clear defensive checklist for managing these agents. What are the mandatory governance controls for enterprises today?
Okay, first, governance. You must have a global hard stop, a kill switch, implemented across your entire agent orchestration layer to instantly disable agents in an emergency. Crucially, you need spend governors, hard caps on tokens, or dollar spend per session and per user. Second, security. Agents have to operate with the principle of least privilege access. We call it tool scoping. The agent that manages support tickets should not be able to delete your production database. It should only have read access to the relevant tables.
And what about dealing with the inevitable loop failures?
For reliability, you need logic for loop detection built into the orchestration layer. It has to spot those repeating recursive error patterns before they consume massive resources. And you need outcome verification. You must have a reliable method, whether it's a human review or even using another LLM as a judge, to definitively confirm that the outcome was successful before the agent moves on to the next, often costly step.
This deep dive has made one thing abundantly clear. The structural shift that was signaled by those big institutional money exits, Thiel, SoftBank, it's not a sign that AI is failing. It's a sign that AI is finally maturing.
The market is demanding proof of value over vibe revenue. That's it. The question for the C-suite has fundamentally changed. It's no longer, is Gemini 3.0 Pro smarter than GPT 5.1? Because that technical superiority is often marginal in practice.
The only question that matters now is, does this technology reduce my cost per outcome and deliver a real net revenue lift?
The success of the next decade hinges entirely on mastering the unit economics of intelligence. You can have the best model in the world, but if its CPO is too high, it will fail. And here is the final provocative thought we want to leave you with. If a single agent within your organization can enter an infinite loop and destroy your departmental margins in minutes, are you fully prepared? Do you have a global hard stop implemented right now? The answer to that single question really defines whether your AI investment will succeed or just become the ultimate example of shelfware 2.0.
And that wraps up our financial audit of the AI ecosystem. Here's the bottom line for 2025. Stop chasing smarter. Start chasing cheaper and more reliable. The market is punishing vibe revenue. If your AI project has great initial adoption but drops off after 90 days, you don't have a business utility. You have a novelty toy. Your mandate is to shift from proof of concept, can we build it, to proof of value, should we build it? Start tracking cost per outcome. If the cost of the AI plus the human oversight is higher than the human alone, kill the project. And please, for the sake of your margins, install a kill switch to prevent those infinite loops. For the full breakdown of the formulas for CPO and net revenue lift, check the show notes. But before you go, I have a question for you. Stop marketing to the masses. Start briefing the C-suite. You've seen the power of AI Unraveled, zero noise, high signal intelligence. Now, leverage our proven methodology to own the conversation in your industry. We create tailored, proprietary podcasts designed exclusively to brief your executives and your most valuable clients. Stop wasting marketing spend on generic content. Ready to define your domain? Secure your strategic podcast consultation now. The link is in the show notes. And finally, if this briefing added value to your strategy, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us a 5-star review. It helps us keep the signal high and the noise low. This podcast is researched, produced, and realized by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. And this has been AI Unraveled. Stay strategic.